The alarm on the command bridge rang sharply, echoing through the sleek corridors of the Zalari flagship. Captain Rylock's 3 eyes narrowed as he stared at the massive holographic display hovering in the air. Red dots were moving in formation, fast, precise, almost unnervingly deliberate. "They're coming," he hissed, his claws tapping impatiently on the console. Around him, his crew froze, a rare silence settling over the usually noisy bridge. The Zalari had dominated the outer sectors for centuries. No world had resisted their fleets, no species had ever fought back with real force. And now, for the first time, they were headed toward the small blue planet they called Earth. A planet they assumed was weak, defenseless, and insignificant. "Captain, the scouts report enormous energy readings," said Lieutenant Zira, her antenna twitching nervously. "They're unlike anything we've seen. Faster than our cruisers, more precise than our targeting systems." Rylock's claws clenched. He had never felt fear before, not like this. "Show me the fleet," he demanded. The display shifted, and a formation of ships appeared. Sleek, silent, deadly. They were larger than anything Rylock had encountered, their hulls shimmering in colors that seemed impossible, like liquid metal reflecting starlight. They moved with perfect coordination, surrounding the Zalari fleet before it even realized what was happening. "Impossible," muttered Zira. "They appear out of nowhere, yet they know exactly where we are." Rylock's jaw tightened. He barked orders, sending squadrons to intercept. But every ship he sent was destroyed before it could reach the advancing fleet. Energy beams cut through his cruisers like paper, explosions painting the void in colors that made his crew sick. Panic started to ripple across the bridge. "This can't be happening," Rylock growled. "No species has ever done this to us." The lead human ship emerged from behind a gas giant, massive and unyielding, with a hull that seemed indestructible. The Zalari sensors struggled to read its size and power, and the closer it got, the more Rylock realized something horrifying. This was no ordinary ship. "Captain, their weapons," whispered Zira. "They're targeting every cruiser simultaneously. And they're moving faster than anything we've ever seen." Rylock's claws slammed against the console. "Concentrate fire. Focus on the lead ship." But the human vessel moved like it was dancing through the battlefield, evading every shot effortlessly. And then, in an instant, it fired. A single beam, immense and blinding, cut through the flagship's defenses, splitting the lead cruiser in half. The explosion sent shockwaves across the fleet. Smaller ships tried to flee, but the human warship chased them down like a predator. Rylock's heart, or what passed for one, pounded in his chest. He could hear the screams of his crew as the fleet around them was obliterated. Never had he faced such power. Never had he imagined something so human. "Who are they?" he demanded, voice trembling. Zira shook her head. We don't know. There are no signals, no communications. They just appear and strike. It's intelligent, calculated, perfect." The Zalari fleet tried to regroup, but every move they made was anticipated. Every escape route blocked. It was as if the human ship knew them better than they knew themselves. And then, a transmission cut through the chaos. Not on any Zalari frequency, but directly into their minds, clear and simple. A voice, calm, almost amused, spoke. "You thought you could invade Earth. How cute." The words echoed, leaving no doubt, these were humans. And humans, Rylock realized with a shiver, were nothing like any enemy he had faced before. The flagship shuddered as another beam struck it, tearing through shields and armor alike. Alarms blared. Crew members were thrown to the floor as systems failed one by one. Rylock struggled to rise, claws shaking. This cannot be happening. From the viewing deck, he watched in disbelief. The human ship, colossal and deadly, moved like a ghost through the battlefield, untouched, unstoppable. Entire squadrons vanished before even reaching its range. And the voice spoke again, taunting and cold. "Your fleets are toys. Your tactics are weak. Surrender, or watch everything you built turn to dust. Panic turned into despair. The Zalari had never faced defeat. Never. And now, standing on the bridge of their command ship, watching their empire crumble before a single human vessel, Rylock understood a terrifying truth. Earth was not just a planet. It was a fortress, a weapon, and the humans were something far worse than anyone had ever imagined. As the flagship systems began to fail, Rylock whispered to himself, a rare tremor in his voice. This is impossible. No species can do this. No one. But deep in the void, the human warship pressed forward, its engines glowing with a calm, unstoppable fury. The Zalari had invaded countless worlds, but this time, the hunters were about to become the hunted. And Earth had only just begun. The stars outside the human ship's hull stretched like rivers of light as it moved, silent and unstoppable. Inside, the bridge was calm. Humans worked like a single organism, each person knowing exactly what to do. Captain Elias stood at the center, his eyes scanning multiple holographic displays. His crew didn't panic, didn't shout. They moved with precision, almost as if the ship itself was alive. Target the lead cruiser, adjust trajectory to compensate for ion interference, Elias said, voice steady. Prepare the next salvo. Keep the shield harmonics at 70%. His crew obeyed instantly. There was no hesitation, no fear. The Zalari fleet outside barely realized what was happening until their ships began disappearing one by one. Entire squadrons vaporized before they could even fire a single shot. Back on the Zalari flagship, Captain Rylock's claws drummed helplessly on the console. They are everywhere. How can one ship be here? They're everywhere, he roared, his voice echoing across the bridge. Zira's antenna twitched violently. Captain, they're using our movements against us. Every maneuver we make, they anticipate it before we can react. It's like they see time differently. Rylock growled, frustration boiling over. Impossible. No species can fight like this. They are cheating. But he knew, deep inside, that it wasn't cheating. It was skill. Humans had something the Zalari had never encountered, instinct and intelligence working as one. The human ship shifted. A single beam, brighter than a supernova, struck the Zalari flagship. Alarms screamed as the hull buckled. Crew members were thrown from their stations. Sparks flew, and the bridge trembled under the impact. Brace for impact! Rylock shouted, but it was too late. The flagship shuddered violently as another strike hit the engines. Power failed in sections, leaving parts of the ship in darkness. Captain, shields are down to 10%, Zira reported, panic in her voice now. We can't hold them. Elias on the human ship spoke calmly into the communicator, the same voice that had earlier sent chills across the Zalari minds. Your empire is not ready. Retreat while you still can, or we will show no mercy. Rylock's 3 eyes widened. Mercy? From humans? He snarled. He had studied countless species, ruled over thousands, and none had ever dared to speak to him like that. Then the human ship released drones. Hundreds of small, sleek machines swarmed the Zalari fleet, moving faster than any interceptor could chase. They slipped through shields, disabling weapons, tearing apart engines, and sending signals to scramble the fleet's communication. Captain! Zira shouted. They are hacking us, our systems, everything. Rylock slammed his claws onto the console, sparks flying from broken panels. No. This cannot happen. I command you to fight. But commands were useless. The drones had already infiltrated every system, turning Zalari technology against them. Their weapons misfired, shields collapsed, and navigation systems went haywire. Ships collided with each other or drifted helplessly as the humans picked them off one by one. From the viewing deck, Rylock watched in horror. Entire squadrons dissolved into light as the human ship moved with terrifying grace. No Zalari tactic worked. No trick could deceive them. Every countermeasure they tried was anticipated. And then, the human ship fired again. A single beam, wider than the largest cruiser, moving like a living serpent through the void. It struck the Zalari flagship squarely. The ship screamed under the attack, tearing apart like a broken toy. Explosions lit the void, burning bright against the darkness of space. Rylock felt a strange weight in his chest, something like fear, but sharper, colder. This is beyond warfare. They are gods of combat. Back on Earth, humans monitored the battle from hidden command centers. They didn't need to see the destruction up close. Every strike, every movement was calculated from miles away. Earth had prepared for centuries, building weapons and ships that no enemy could ever imagine. Elias looked at his crew. "Hold steady. We are not done yet. The Zalari think this is a battle. It is only a lesson." The human ship's engines flared as it turned, positioning itself for another strike. The remaining Zalari vessels tried to regroup, but panic had set in. Every captain feared the humans now. Every move was hesitation. And hesitation meant death. On the Zalari flagship, Rylock knew it was over. He could feel it in his bones. His empire, his fleet, everything he had built, was crumbling. All because one species had decided to defend their home. One species he had underestimated. Humans. And in the silence before the next attack, the last thought in Rylock's mind was a bitter one. We thought Earth was weak. How foolish we were. The void around them glowed with destruction. And the humans moved like shadows through it, unstoppable, precise, and utterly terrifying. The Zalari fleet was a shadow of its former self. Only a handful of ships remained, drifting through the void like wounded beasts. Smoke and sparks streaked across the darkness as the humans' relentless assault continued. Captain Rylock paced the bridge of his flagship, his 3 eyes glowing faintly with fury and fear. "They are too fast. Too clever. Too everything," he muttered. His claws clenched over the console as he stared at the dwindling fleet. "We should have seen this coming. We should have." "Captain," Zira interrupted, her voice trembling. They're not just fighting. They're learning. Every move we make, every formation we try, they adapt instantly. It's like they are predicting us." Rylock's jaw tightened. Predicting? How is that possible? This cannot be natural. From the void, the human warship glided like a phantom, engine flares painting streaks of light across the battlefield. Its surface shimmered, absorbing and reflecting the Zalari attacks effortlessly. It moved with a calm precision that no Zalari pilot could hope to match. "Captain!" Zira's voice rose in panic. "They're targeting the command fleet directly. If our flagship falls, the rest of us will be lost." Rylock's claws slammed onto the console. "We fight. We fight until the last ship." But even as he spoke, the humans were already executing maneuvers he could barely comprehend. Hundreds of drones swarmed the remaining ships, disabling weapons and engines. Explosions lit the void like fireworks, each one a grim reminder of their failure. On the bridge of the human ship, Captain Elias watched the destruction with quiet focus. "Deploy the interceptor swarms," he ordered. "Don't let them regroup. Keep pressure on every remaining vessel." Human drones darted through space like schools of fish, slipping past shields, tearing apart engines, and disabling communication arrays. The Zalari tried to counterattack, but every effort was anticipated and neutralized. Each strike the humans launched was precise, calculated, and devastating. Rylock felt a cold dread settle in his chest. He had conquered countless worlds, destroyed fleets, and broken species. But nothing had prepared him for this. One planet, one species, had dismantled centuries of conquest in hours. "Captain, the humans," Zira whispered. They're not just powerful. They're gods of war. Every attack, every defense, perfectly timed. There's no flaw, no hesitation. They are unstoppable." Rylock growled in frustration. "Unstoppable? No species is unstoppable. We adapt. We learn. We fight until the end." But the Zalari fleet was collapsing faster than he could command. One by one, the remaining ships were disabled or destroyed. The void around them was filled with the wreckage of their empire, drifting silently as the humans advanced. Then, the human ship spoke again. The voice was calm, almost casual, but carried across the battlefield like thunder. Your arrogance has cost you everything. Retreat now, or be annihilated completely. Rylok's eyes widened in disbelief. Annihilated? From one ship? Impossible. The humans moved again, their ships slicing through space with terrifying precision. The Zalari could only watch as the final remnants of their fleet were destroyed. One by one, entire sections of ships disintegrated under the humans' relentless assault. On the viewing deck of the flagship, Rylok felt a strange sense of helplessness he had never experienced. The empire he had ruled, the fleets he had commanded, the worlds he had conquered, all crumbling before a single human vessel. "Captain," Zira said, voice barely above a whisper. We are finished." Rylok's claws shook as he pressed them against the console. He could feel the end approaching. No, there must be a way to survive, to fight back. But even as he spoke, the human ship fired again. The beam tore through the flagship's defenses, splitting the ship in two. Alarms screamed, systems failed, and fire swept across the bridge. Crew members screamed, thrown from consoles as the ship buckled. Elias watched calmly as the humans' drones swarmed the wreckage. "We are not just defending Earth," he said to his crew. "We are showing the galaxy why no one can conquer it. Every strike teaches them. Every move humbles them. They will never forget this lesson." Rylok tried to issue one final command, but the consoles were dead. Systems offline. Communications destroyed. The Zalari fleet had no direction, no hope, and no chance. The human warship drifted closer, almost leisurely, as if to savor the fear it inspired. Rylok felt a deep, unshakable realization: his empire, his life, his species' reputation, all meaningless against humans. And in that moment, the legend of Earth's defenders was born. One ship. One species. Unyielding, unstoppable, and terrifying. The void was silent except for the distant explosions of dying ships. And through it all, the human warship moved forward, calm and relentless, a single shadow of death that left the Zalari fleet broken and scattered. Rylok's final thought before losing consciousness was bitter, cold, and sharp. We underestimated them, and now, it will cost us everything. The Zalari remnants drifted through space, broken and trembling. Their fleets had been shattered, their ships burned to floating debris. Captain Rylok sat on the edge of the command deck, staring at the void, unable to believe what had happened. His empire, centuries in the making, lay in ruin, all because one species had refused to be conquered. They survived," muttered Zira, her antenna drooping. "How is this even possible? One ship. One human ship." Rylok's three eyes burned with a mix of rage and fear. "Not one ship," he said quietly, his voice low but trembling. "They have power we cannot even imagine. Earth. It is not weak. It is a fortress. A weapon." Below the human ship, small reconnaissance drones swept across the debris field. Each Zalari vessel was catalogued, every weak point noted. The humans did not celebrate. They did not rush to destroy what remained. They studied, they prepared, they planned. This was not just a battle. It was a lesson, one the galaxy would never forget. Captain Elias stood at the helm of the human warship, eyes fixed on the shattered fleet. "We've shown them strength," he said quietly, voice calm but firm. "But they will learn faster than we expect. Keep the shield harmonics stable and the interceptor drones ready. They may attempt something desperate." His crew moved like clockwork, adjusting energy flows, recalibrating weapons, and scanning the void for threats. Every movement was precise, rehearsed, perfect. There was no panic, no hesitation, only focus. The humans were always ready. Back on the Zalari flagship, Rylok barked orders, trying to rally what was left. "Gather the survivors. Form a defensive perimeter. We still have our numbers." But the remaining ships were few, scattered, broken. Each attempt to regroup failed as the human ship anticipated their every move. Drones attacked from angles the Zalari never considered, disabling engines, shields, and weapon systems before they could respond. Zira trembled. "Captain, they're learning from us. They are evolving as we fight. Every tactic we use, they adapt instantly. There is no way to win." Rylock clenched his claws on the console. "We must retreat. We must live to fight another day. Earth, we cannot defeat it, not like this." But retreat was no longer possible. The humans had cut off every escape route, surrounding the remaining ships with a net of energy fields and drones. The Zalari realized, too late, that their pride and arrogance had led them into a trap. "Captain, we are trapped," Zira whispered. "There is no escape." Elias watched calmly as the Zalari panic grew. "They still don't understand," he said to his crew. "This is not just about survival. This is about teaching the galaxy a lesson they will never forget. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not retreat. Humans win." The human warship moved closer, its massive hull reflecting starlight, a symbol of absolute power. Energy beams danced across the remaining Zalari ships, cutting through shields with terrifying efficiency. Explosions rocked the void, painting it with fire and light. Rylock's last hope was gone. He could only watch as his fleet was methodically dismantled. The humans had not rushed in blindly, they had studied, calculated, and struck with perfection. And in the midst of it, the Zalari realized something terrifying. The humans were not just defending Earth. They were showing the galaxy what would happen to any species foolish enough to challenge it. "Captain," Zira said, voice trembling. They are teaching a lesson. Not just to us, to everyone. This is a warning." Rylock's jaw tightened. "A warning," he hissed. "We have faced countless species, none like this. If this is a warning, the galaxy will never recover. Humanity, they are not just a planet. They are a force of nature." And then the human ship fired again. The beam cut through the void like a blade of light, precise and unstoppable. A single shot dismantled the largest remaining Zalari vessel, and the others scattered in panic. The humans did not chase them, they did not need to. The lesson was clear: Earth was untouchable. Humans were unstoppable. From the quiet of their command centers on Earth, humans watched the Zalari remnants flee. No celebration. No triumphalism. Only vigilance. They knew the galaxy would remember this day, and many would try again. But humans were ready. They had prepared for centuries. They had built defenses, ships, and strategies that no enemy could match. Rylock's thoughts were heavy as he looked out at the void. His fleet was broken. His empire humiliated. And he understood, finally, that humanity was something the galaxy had never seen before. A species that fought with intelligence, precision, and a power no one could underestimate. The legend of Earth's defenders had only just begun. And somewhere in the stars, Captain Elias prepared for the next challenge, calm and unstoppable, knowing that the humans had only just begun to show their strength. The void was silent for a moment, broken only by distant flashes of explosions from the shattered Zalari fleet. On Earth, hidden deep beneath the surface, the human command centers hummed with quiet precision. Giant screens displayed the battle in real time, showing every movement, every strike, every reaction of the defeated Zalari. Captain Elias watched the data feed calmly. Around him, the Earth Defense Council operated with the efficiency of a single organism. Soldiers, engineers, and pilots moved in perfect synchrony. No panic, no confusion. Every human knew their role. Every human had trained for this moment for decades, even centuries. "Prepare the orbital defenses," Elias said, voice steady. "Activate the kinetic shields and ready the planetary cannons. If any remnants attempt to retreat, they will not leave unscathed." The command center was a hub of activity. Holographic displays showed Earth's hidden fleets, battleships long kept secret, floating silently in orbit, cloaked and ready. Human engineers monitored energy flows, shields, and weapon calibrations with perfect accuracy. Each ship could destroy multiple enemy fleets if necessary, yet they remained patient. Earth had no need for recklessness. Far above the planet, hidden among the stars, the human warships moved like predators circling their territory. They did not fire unless necessary. Their presence alone sent tremors of fear across the galaxy. Messages from fleeing Zalari ships had already begun to spread. Humans were not to be underestimated. On the bridge of the human flagship, Elias turned to his officers. The Zalari have learned something today. They now know Earth is defended. But they will test us again. Prepare for anything. Their desperation will make them reckless. "Captain," said Lieutenant Mara, her eyes sharp and focused, "we have intercepted communications from the remaining Zalari vessels. They are terrified. Many are already calling for reinforcements. They underestimated us. Badly." Elias nodded. "Let them come. We have planned for every possibility. Every fleet that approaches Earth will see the same lesson: the humans are not to be challenged." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, whispers spread through star systems like wildfire. Entire species began to reconsider their strategies, recalculating their plans. The reports from the Zalari survivors were shocking. A single human vessel had shattered an entire fleet. The planet itself was a fortress, backed by technology and tactics no one had ever imagined. Rylock, barely clinging to consciousness after his flagship's destruction, struggled to regain contact with the remaining leaders. "We underestimated them," he whispered, his voice hoarse and trembling. "The humans, they are unstoppable." His words echoed across the scattered Zalari remnants. Panic replaced strategy. Fear replaced pride. And the humans moved quietly, efficiently, preparing for the next wave without haste. From orbit, the hidden human fleets began to align. Battleships long kept secret powered up their engines. Energy shields flared into existence, surrounding the planet like a second atmosphere. Drone swarms deployed silently, ready to intercept any approaching enemy vessels. The human warships that had decimated the Zalari fleet earlier now acted as guides, directing smaller ships, coordinating strikes, and ensuring nothing could slip through. Elias watched the sensors. "The galaxy is waking up to a new reality," he said. "We do not attack unless provoked, but anyone foolish enough to test us will pay the price." And in the debris fields left behind by the destroyed Zalari fleet, human drones moved among the wreckage, gathering intelligence. Every ship, every weapon, every piece of technology was catalogued. Humans learned quickly, faster than any species had ever seen. They did not just destroy, they studied, prepared, and improved. Back on the fleeing Zalari vessels, fear had turned into desperation. They could not comprehend the scale of human power. They had assumed Earth would be a simple conquest. They had believed a small, isolated planet could be taken easily. But now, staring at the hidden fleets, the orbital cannons, and the unstoppable warships, even the bravest among them began to doubt. "Captain Rylock," Zira whispered from her console, "there is no way forward. No plan, no retreat, no victory. Earth is untouchable." Rylock closed his eyes, the reality sinking in. The humans were not just a planet defending itself. They were a force, a species united, prepared, and willing to strike with precision unmatched in the galaxy. The Zalari had made one mistake. They had underestimated humans. And that mistake would echo across the stars for generations. Above the planet, the human warships shimmered in the starlight, calm, poised, and deadly. Earth had revealed only a fraction of its power, yet the galaxy had already begun to take notice. And Captain Elias knew one truth above all else: the humans had only begun to defend their home. The real test, the true demonstration of humanity's strength, was yet to come. The Zalari remnants fled through the void, their damaged ships barely holding together. Every captain knew they had underestimated humans. Every officer realized they were no longer hunters, they were prey. Captain Rylock tried to rally the survivors, his voice shaking with anger. We cannot allow them to humiliate us completely. Reform the lines. Attack. Strike before they grow stronger. But it was too late. Every attempt to regroup was anticipated. The humans had studied their tactics, predicted their moves, and prepared for every eventuality. The Zalari fleet was fractured, leaderless, and panicked. Above Earth, the hidden human warships moved like shadows across the void. Interceptor drones flitted through space, disabling Zalari engines before their crews could even react. Orbital cannons flared to life, sending beams of energy streaking across the battlefield. Every strike was precise, efficient, and devastating. Captain Elias stood at the helm of the flagship, calm as ever. Engage the main strike. Focus on the largest remaining vessels. Do not allow them to regroup or flee. His crew worked like a single mind. Energy shields were adjusted in real time, weapons synchronized to maximize impact, and drones coordinated to ensure no enemy could escape. Every Zalari vessel faced a wall of destruction they could not comprehend. On the bridge of the Zalari flagship, Rylock's three eyes widened in horror. They are everywhere. Every move we make. Every plan. They anticipate it. Zira's antenna twitched violently. It's impossible. How can one species be this fast, this precise, this perfect? The humans did not attack blindly. Every strike was calculated. Each move dismantled the enemy with surgical precision. Entire Zalari squadrons were destroyed before they could form a defensive line. From the debris of destroyed ships, human drones collected intelligence. Every weapon, every shield, every tactical decision was analyzed in real time. Humans were learning faster than the Zalari could fight. They did not just defeat, they improved, adapted, and ensured victory with every moment. Rylock's claws trembled as he pounded the console. We must retreat. We must escape while we still can. But there was no escape. Human warships had cut off every route. Orbital defenses made it impossible to reach Earth. Drones intercepted faster than any pilot could react. The Zalari fleet was trapped. And then, the humans struck with overwhelming force. Energy beams tore through the largest cruisers, splitting them in half. Smaller vessels were disabled instantly. Panic spread like wildfire. The Zalari realized the full scale of the humans' power, and morale shattered completely. On Earth, Captain Elias observed the destruction calmly. This is what happens to those who threaten our home, he said. We do not attack lightly. But when provoked, there is no mercy. From the Zalari perspective, the humans were no longer just a species. They were a force of nature, unstoppable, intelligent, and deadly. Every calculation, every prediction, every attack revealed that humans had prepared for centuries. Their technology, their strategy, their unity, it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Rylock's last hope was gone. The flagship systems failed one by one. Crew members screamed as consoles exploded. Smoke filled the bridge. And still, the human ship moved calmly, like a predator savoring the moment before the kill. Captain, we are finished, Zira whispered, antenna drooping. Rylock's mind raced. He had ruled countless species. He had destroyed fleets that others could only dream of commanding. But now, facing humans, he understood the truth. Earth was untouchable. Humanity was unstoppable. And the galaxy would never be the same. The humans pressed their attack with surgical precision. Each strike left nothing behind but debris. Every Zalari vessel that had once been a symbol of fear was now reduced to wreckage drifting through the void. The message was clear: challenge Earth, and you would be erased. Captain Elias turned to his crew. Hold position. Continue monitoring. Prepare for the next wave. The galaxy will test us again, but we are ready. Always ready. And as the Zalari remnants fled into the darkness, terrified beyond belief, the humans remained poised, unstoppable, and calm. The first large-scale counterattack had been devastating, and the galaxy was beginning to understand a terrifying new truth. Humanity did not just defend their home. Humanity conquered fear, mastered strategy, and could turn the tide of any battle. The Zalari had learned it the hard way. The universe was about to learn it as well. The void was silent, except for the faint echoes of destroyed Zalari ships drifting endlessly through space. Captain Rylock clutched the console of his crippled flagship, staring at the approaching human warships. His 3 eyes burned with rage, fear, and disbelief. Every plan he had, every tactic, every hope for survival had failed. They cannot be stopped, he whispered. One species, one planet, has destroyed everything. Zira's antenna twitched as she surveyed the battlefield. Captain, Earth, humanity, they are beyond anything we imagined. No fleet, no empire, nothing could have prepared us for this. The humans did not rush. Their warships moved calmly, almost leisurely, yet every movement was calculated to perfection. Interceptor drones zipped around the remaining Zalari vessels, disabling engines, weapons, and communications. Orbital cannons flared from Earth, striking any ship that dared move. Every Zalari effort to escape or fight back was met with precision and devastating force. On the bridge of the human flagship, Captain Elias observed the chaos with a quiet intensity. "Prepare the final strike," he said. "Ensure no vessel can regroup or escape. This ends today." His crew moved in perfect harmony. Energy shields shimmered like crystal, weapons synchronized to strike in unison. Drones swarmed like a living organism, striking at every weak point of the Zalari fleet. The humans had prepared for centuries. Every move they made now was flawless. Rylock barked orders desperately. "Form a line. Attack together. Do not let them destroy us all." But it was too late. Human drones had already disabled critical systems on every remaining vessel. Weapons misfired, engines failed, and communications went silent. The Zalari fleet was a shadow of its former self, trapped and helpless. "Captain, we cannot fight," Zira said, voice trembling. "They anticipate everything. Every tactic, every maneuver, it is useless." Rylock's claws pounded the console in frustration and fear. "Impossible. One species, one planet, cannot have such power." From orbit, Earth's hidden fleets began to align. Cloaked battleships revealed themselves, massive and deadly. Energy shields flared, surrounding the planet like a living fortress. Orbital cannons powered up, targeting every remaining Zalari vessel with surgical accuracy. The humans did not just attack. They eradicated. Energy beams sliced through cruisers, drones tore apart engines, and one by one, the Zalari fleet was reduced to wreckage drifting through the void. The last command ships, symbols of the Zalari Empire's might, exploded in blinding light. Rylock realized the truth as his flagship shuddered under the final strike. Humanity was not just defending their home. They were a force of nature, unstoppable, precise, and relentless. Every tactic he had used for centuries was nullified by their intelligence and unity. "Captain, we are finished," Zira whispered. Rylock slumped against the console, his mind shattered. For the first time in his life, he felt helpless, defeated, and small. The empire he had ruled, the fleets he had commanded, the worlds he had conquered, all obliterated by a single species. Above the planet, the human warships glimmered in the starlight. Silent, calm, and deadly. The galaxy watched in awe as Earth revealed its true power, a power no one had anticipated. Captain Elias turned to his crew. "Hold formation. Monitor the remaining debris. Ensure there is no threat left." His officers nodded. Every action was precise. Every calculation perfect. Humanity had not just defended Earth, they had rewritten the rules of warfare. The Zalari threat was gone. Their arrogance punished. The galaxy now understood what it meant to challenge humans. From the fleeing remnants of the Zalari fleets, stories would spread. Reports of a single human vessel decimating entire fleets, of Earth's hidden armies and orbital weapons, of humans moving faster and striking harder than any enemy could imagine. Entire species would pause before attacking, realizing the truth: humanity could not be defeated. Rylock's final thought before surrendering to unconsciousness was bitter, cold, and sharp. We underestimated them, and the universe will regret it. On Earth, Captain Elias watched the stars with calm eyes. This is only the beginning, he said. We defend our home, we defend our species, and we will show the galaxy what it means to face humanity. The humans had won. The Zalari threat was destroyed. And the legend of Earth's defenders, unyielding, unstoppable, and terrifying, was now etched into the stars. The galaxy would never forget.